Yo, what's good guys, Ben Fire here back from the video, and today we're going to be bringing you guys Kiv's lockdown defense that he used in the Madden 23 Bowl. Going back to these videos, you guys always like them, and we're actually going to bring a defensive video. It's usually recommended, but generally the defense is difficult because, of course, when you're watching these games, you can't see the defensive play art. If I could, you would see a lot more of these, but every now and then Madden slips up, and you can actually see the play art for a play or two, so we got some setups here that should be pretty solid. Now, generally, these are going to work better against bunch and trio. This is from the game against D-Croft, so better against like U-trips or a Y-trips in this case, and like a bunch rather than a tight. Maybe I'll show a setup that could work for tight, but generally, you guys should probably have a good idea how to stop something like tight anyway, because of how much it is run. But we're going to be in the 4-6 playbook, nickel 3-3 formation. If you would like, get your safeties at linebacker, get your user who can be a safety, all that good stuff. And the play we're going to run, linebacker blitz 0. Who's surprised by that? As far as this, I like on, base align, and that's pretty much should be good to go. So we are going to face gun bunch in this particular case. I'm going to set a couple of audibles I like here. Just get Z spot in there. Now, I am in Saints offense on with the football team, so we don't have the best bunch, but we still have a pretty good one. Just going to move this camera real quick, and then we will get into the setup. So the first thing that you're going to do is pretty much the setup for the blitz that you're going to do. So you're just going to manually move this guy. This is what I like to do. Manually move him and then shift your linebackers to the right. Since you start out the play, clicked onto the middle linebacker, he's not going to shift either, which is nice. So all you have to do is move to Mario Davis, shift that way, and then you can go ahead and contain. Now, you may have to manually move these guys a little bit just to get them in containment. A step or two. It's not that big of a deal. And there you have your initial setup. You can press if you'd like, but it's going to come down to the adjustments behind it, because we all know that this blitz works. We all know how to set it up. So the adjustments behind it that he went ahead and ran, you have a couple of setups that I like. This first one being is going to be a little cover 2 shell. So you're going to create a little cover 2 shell on this left side, which is generally going to be the wide side of the field. Then on the right side, he went with the setup that looks something like this. Now, it was base aligned, so it did look like this. Feel free to shade over the top as well. Now, I'm not, of course, sure if there was any zone drops that went along with this. There would be no way of me to know that, but it looked relatively default from that standpoint. So this would be your setup. Now, again, against U-trips, in this type of a scenario, you're looking at the tight end down the middle, anything across the inside, McLaurin on a backside post. So you're really watching kind of crossing routes. So a post drag combo. You do have deep help if need be with your deep safety on the left. Middle of the field would be an issue, but again, you're setting pressure, so you're hoping you get pressure. Now, again, this is kind of tailor-made to fit a scheme, so keep that in mind. But you blitz, and you're going to get pressure, and it didn't really look like there was nobody open, whereas you're running a cover 2 shell, cover 3 shell. There's going to be holes in it, but the setup is pretty dang solid. So, again, make sure your cover 2 is on the wide side, but we all know how good the blitz is. We get the disengage on that left side. We get the loop on the right side. And again, these aren't the fastest, most athletic, best players on this New Orleans Saints defense. So over here on the left side, who are you really throwing to? Absolutely nobody. And what's actually nice is if the running back ends up in a blocking assignment, the safety will actually end up rotating over and playing like a hook curl. I'm not really sure what zone he actually resorts to, maybe a 3-rec. But if the running back is blocking, which in this case he is, then you have an extra zone, which actually helps us out, because let's say McLaurin's on a drag, I would probably have to take the drag, and then boom, you have help over the top. So you're actually in a pretty dang good spot. Now, again, you may have to adjust on the fly just depending on extracurricular circumstances, so that should definitely be understood. But other than that, I feel like it's a relatively simple setup depending on your skill level of Madden. It's a little bit advanced just because of the adjustments you have to do. So if you're not good with adjustments, I would practice those. But, other than that, it's not overly difficult in my opinion. So, again, this is really all you're doing. You can press as well. Again, I like the baseline press, and I believe that's what he was running. So, again, let's say Antonio Gibson is on a little wheel route, he'll be taken care of. Again, you can always quick snap and throw it, but he's not picking up that many yards. And again, just insanely quick pressure to where he has to block 5 if he's in tight. The blitz is going to come through because he can't block 7 unless he's motion blocking, which would put you at a significant advantage where you can run something like a cover 3 shell and stop the corner outs from baseline press because the corner outs wouldn't get open. So that would really put you at an advantage, in my opinion. Makes it really difficult to run offense. So again, get really fast linebackers really fast safeties at those outside linebackers. You'll be chilling. So that's going to be setup number 1. Now, setup number 2 is going to be a little bit different. I'm not sure if I completely remember it, so I might have to take a look at the player. We'll see if I remember it by memory. If not, there will be a cut in this video. So we're going to set it up normally, though, business as usual. I believe we still have a cover 2 on that side. So we are going to incorporate that little cover 2 action. We are going to, once again, move Demario Davis over here, shift our linebackers to the right. You're going to contain. Now, there is going to be a little bit of a difference, but even though, and we're actually going to man up Demario Davis. So you're going to man him up on the tight end. Now, you still want him in that position because, for obvious reasons, you want to bluff the blitz. So it's going to look a little bit something like this. Now, on this right side, I'm going to go ahead, take a pause, and check it out, and I'll be back. All right, so I'm back, and again, this is kind of eyeballing it a little bit. You could run it a couple of different ways, which I'll actually show. I believe this is what we see, though. We see an outside quarter on the right, then we see an inside quarter on the right as well. And this was what the setup looked like, if I am reading things correctly. LB could have very well been on a quarter as well, but deep half seems a little bit more realistic. And yeah, so you're going to keep manning him up. Now, what was interesting in the play that I'm talking about was this guy motioned over, and this moved the vert hook over to the side, which honestly probably helps the setup if the vert hook is on this side. And we'll put you in a better vert hook. So this would be an ideal look at this play. Something like this. And again, I didn't hover there, so we didn't get the pressure, but we still actually got decent pressure. But the coverage, pretty dang good behind it. I wasn't really paying attention, but I think that's how the setup looked. Now, again, if they don't motion, it would be fine. The blitz would still work. At least you would kind of hope it does. But thanks for not staying there, Demario. Love that. But it's not too difficult of a setup. It's relatively similar. Again, you're just manning someone up instead. So you are keeping kind of the same concepts. You should still get pressure. And again, you're just putting B on a quarter, which you can do B on a quarter instead of a third in the first setup. It's, apples to oranges. They relatively play the exact same. The quarter is going to bite down on things like post a little bit more, which is definitely nice in the U-trips example. But with A, I believe, again, it's an inside quarter, which is going to, again, bite down on those post routes, help out your user a little bit. I don't know why it's like takes me 20 years baseline press, but this is what the setup looks like. So, you hover and, you either get pressure or you don't, but it doesn't really look like much open. X, you could say maybe, but you have a good safety at this stage in MUT. That should be an interception. Some other deep routes could get open, but you have click on options. So overall, that setup is decent. I don't think it's the best. I would definitely recommend the first setup over it, just based on the results, but that's an option. Now, again, we're kind of trying to stick to his setups, but I'll throw a little bit of twist on it. I'm going to go back to the first setup because I like it a lot better. And we're going to show it from the wide hash against a corner route based play. And again, there's ways to beat these, but with the pressure, when you factor the pressure into the equation, it makes the coverage look a lot better. If you were just running this coverage behind it with 3-man rush, it wouldn't look as good. And that's, by design, that's for obvious reasons. So keep that in mind. If you're unable to get pressure, there could be some holes in the defense. So, don't blame me. And again, zone drops could have something to do with it. I'm not sure if they do, but that could be a possibility. So again, here to be able to get the coverage, you can go quarter if you'd like on that right side. Sometimes they play weird against things like streaks though. So, and again, I probably would shade over the top just so that quarter on the right doesn't get beat or that third on the right doesn't get beat. But this is, again, going to be your first setup. So something like Z-spot and go. Again, RB could get open. So you see that. That's where you can set your zone drops to XYZ. You could still go with the first setup, but you man up the linebacker. So there certainly is options. And especially if they have threat detector on third or fourth down, it's probably a better idea to use some of that coverage anyway, because they can obviously see if you're blitzing. So they'll know to set up a play to get the ball out quickly. So, you might as well. So I'll show that first setup with some coverage behind it. We're, specifically manning up to Mario Davis. So again, kind of this setup, boom, boom, boom. Not too terrible. Again, I would practice with the setup. I haven't really practiced with it, honestly, so I'm not the fastest at it, but it's probably better that I'm not the fastest, so you guys can actually see what's happening and, actually understand what's going on. Obviously, if you were in a cover 2 shell, probably easier to set up this play, but I think he just ran out of blitz, so we're gonna run it how he was doing it. So ideally, make your man up to Mario Davis on the tight end. You could man him up on the slot receiver, again, assuming it's a safety. Pressure wise, again, I'm not sure exactly how it works. I haven't played this game Ultimate Team wise in a minute, but there you see coverage pretty solid. I know there is a way to get pressure with 4. We're just not getting it there. But overall, that's going to do for the video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you drop a big thumbs up. Let me know what you want to see next. Subscribe to the channel down below. Follow all links as well. And peace.